At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
You don't wake up dreaming of McDonald's fries. You wake up dreaming of McDonald's hash browns. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Your data is like gold to hackers, and they'll sell it to the highest bidder. Are you protected? McAfee helps shield you, blocking suspicious texts, malicious emails, and fraudulent websites. McAfee Secure VPN lets you browse safely, and its AI-powered text scam detector spots threats instantly. You'll also get up to $2 million of award-winning antivirus and identity theft protection, all for just $39.99 for your first year. Visit McAfee.com. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
Welcome to
4Kids Flashback. Hello. Welcome to 4Kids Flashback. My name is Tara Sands. I am a co-host joined by
Steve Yurko, co-host.
Co-host MD. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, in our professions, we don't get any, initials that come after our name, like DDO or Esquire.
We didn't go to school for, 7 years, I guess.
But I feel like we've mastered our skills. We should have some initials, like what, I'm trying to think what, Tara Sands, comma, VO. That would be so dumb.
I don't know what my acronym would be. It's...
BA, board artist. I don't know. Or maybe bored, B-O-R-E-D. If you're bored.
I just think of any possible curse word you could slide in there and say, B.A., big asshole.
That's true of everything, though, like doctor even, or M.D., massive disappointment. I mean, that could stand for...
storyboard. I don't know. I'm not good at these. I'll think about it later.
We'll think of it later.
I'll dwell on it.
I was telling Steve after our last record about a fangirl moment I had, and I was just thinking about this show, and I just want to give all of y'all listeners credit who go to these conventions and meet your heroes and keep your cool, because I was in the airport the other night, and I was passing by Fred Armisen. He was I don't know if you guys know who he is. He was a cast member on Saturday Night Live, a comedian, actor, super, super talented. And I'm a huge fan. And I was like, I have to say something. I'm going to regret it if I don't. And my brain was going crazy. And so I just walked by him and I whispered, big fan. Really, really. And he said, oh, thank you. And for the next half hour, I dissected how I said big fan and if it was creepy or cool. So just know that I relate to all of you who come to these conventions. Mm-hmm. Because that was my night, was analyzing how I said big fan.
The point is to care less. Everyone's just another human being.
Oh, I felt so stupid. But Steve, you told me that I did okay. Yeah, but you told me I did okay because I was like, was that okay? And you were like, yeah, that's fine. And of course, we all overthink our own crap way more than anyone else thinks about us. Fred Armisen did not think about that ever again that night. And I know that.
I don't have too many run-ins these days, but I would love to kind of just give the nod. If the eye contact is made and just be like, of course you can't see this on an audio podcast, but just give a...
Right. Just I know who you... Yeah, and I whispered it because, again, I could tell he wasn't getting attention and I didn't want to draw attention to him.
Yeah, because that's... Yeah. It could be
But it was...
Yeah, flies to honey,
Well, if I freaked out and then, oh my God, it's you. Yeah. No, I didn't get a selfie. I didn't do any of that. But I was excited. Yeah, that was my fangirl moment.
But you see, you have a story now, and you didn't do anything to make them uncomfortable. You instead of just being like, I saw them at the airport, oh, cool, that's where the story ends. But you just saying that little bit, I'm like, okay, there's a little bit more to that.
I would have been bummed if I hadn't said anything. I would have kicked myself because I feel like there's certain people that need to hear it all the time because they're not like the most famous people in the world, but they are so good at what they do that like, maybe he was having a crappy day, and if that made him be like, oh, I'm talented, that person likes me. I always want to give that boost. Oh, I'm such a dork. Yeah. But anyway, that was my my weird experience this week. I want to give Steve and his ears credit because, okay, so I'm not sure, again, what order this will be in, but we had a guest on recently. There was a miscredit on One Piece, this character of Lucky Roo. And David Brimmer was like, no, I don't think that's me. And Steve said, I think it's Michael Sinner Nicholas. Now, I listened to this thing. I have known that man and been close friends with that man for over 20 years at this point. No idea if that was him or not. So, Steve, how do you do that? And so then the moral of the story is I sent the voice clip to Michael Sinner Nicholas.
Like a total of two. 2 lines. Like the character spoke.
2.
Mm-hmm.
And so I send it to Michael, and Michael is in shock, and he's like, I can't believe you knew that was me. And I was like, oh, no. I did not know that was you. That was all Steve. And he's like, wow, how does Steve know me so well? But
it's a curse.
No, but
very few of us have it. But I just, that's, my brain is unfortunately wired that way. But I think because I pinned that for a bit in my head. Like I knew, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it. I just listened to 2 lines. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like Michael Sinner Nicholas pitched down.
That's incredible.
And I didn't realize that character was miscredited. So when I saw that, unfortunately, when I wish I caught that ahead of time in the podcast, but you heard it live during the podcast.
We fix it. That was so cool. So I got oh my God, two attempts on IMDb because they don't take my word for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's finally solidified. There might be 2 credits for it now. I had trouble getting one taken off, but I was able to add Michael as that character. Oh, if anyone is really good with the wikis, please just fix everything for me because I can't handle it.
Yeah. I think the fan wikis are a little more picky wikis.
Yeah, picky wikis. And I was even going to fix something on my own Wikipedia page, and I gave up on that. So if anyone wants to do that for me, I will take any help I can get.
I don't know.
But yeah.
It's a curse, but maybe it's a blessing for this show.
Yeah, gold star to your ears. Yeah, and our Discord, the people in our Discord channel also have amazing ears that I don't have. So big shout out to our Discord. Speaking of Discord, I'm going to talk fast. Our guest is in the Zoom waiting room. You can be part of our Discord by signing up for our Patreon, patreon.com/4Kids Flashback. $5 a month. You get episodes early, ad-free, bonus content, access to Discord. All the links are in the show notes. We will be right back with Gerry Beyer. Our guest today is Gerry Beyer. Gerry worked at 4Kids from 2002 to 2011, working on the promos, but he was also an editor for Chaotic. So he saw a lot of stuff in his time there. Thank you so much for joining us, Gerry.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so we were before we started recording, we were trying to figure out if our paths crossed because sometimes we worked with the promo department. Sometimes you guys were actually directing the voiceovers, and sometimes you were just worlds away from us in a whole other, it felt like we never crossed paths.
Yes.
So where were you, not actually where was your desk, but what were your responsibilities in the promo department and who were you mostly interacting with?
So I was hired by Norman in 2002, right when the Foxbox kind of deal was signed, and they would realize they had to make a whole bunch of promos for 4 hours along with the shows. And my friend Ariel was already working there. Me and Ariel, I produced a documentary that he worked on, and we both worked at this advertising agency before.
Okay.
And so he called me and I was looking to get out of my ad agency, and cartoons sounded fun. I never really knew much about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Really. I mean, most of my cartoon watching was like Danger Mouse and I guess Speed Racer and like, things like
anime.
Yeah. But anyway, so I took the job. My main thing is was doing the promos for the 4Kids block. So a lot of branding promos, a lot of like up next on Sonic X or up next on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and kind of doing big like season premiere commercials and stuff like that. And a lot of interstitials. We had like these little takeover things. Like sometimes we had like special guests. Somewhere there was like a world greatest guy who kind of showed up and did try to do like Guinness World Record stuff. We had one weekend where William Hung, who was like the American Idol guy, that was just sad, and I still feel dirty about being involved in that because he was just so. I don't know. I just felt he was being taken advantage of, but but we did these little interstitials, and like basically because we had like, when the Fox box started, like we had to put everything together and make it exactly 4 hours. So like we're perpetually talking to the, everyone's just doing the shows exactly how long they are. Now like figuring out like how many 20-second commercials we need or how many 4-second bumpers we need, and we would just make tapes literally. And I remember like the first Fox box premiere, we had to put someone on a plane to get them to LA with the tapes so that it could be on time.
Wait. What?
I
don't even understand.
No, because we were supposed to get them, because this is 2002. This is kind of before everything was digitally delivered.
Right, but there was FedEx. And, so like the idea was we're supposed to get everything there by Thursday, or Wednesday we're sending out FedEx for them, for Fox in LA to get it on Thursday. And then Fox Legal called and had some issues with certain things. And we really had the tape. I mean, it was really on like two-hour tape. Like we had it like everything on tape basically, and just except for the national commercials. So we had to redo it all. And it ended up being like Friday afternoon, and I can't remember the girl's name. She worked for Jeff Blankman, and we literally put her on a plane. She dropped off the tapes, had breakfast or had dinner, and then came home. Like it was crazy. The first few weeks were crazy because we didn't know. I mean, no one. I mean, Norman's just insanely talented and can do everything. Like he can edit, he can write music, he writes dialogue. I mean, he can do everything. But I think this was just kind of the deadlines were crazy.
Deadlines were crazy, and we're a little out of our scope of like, oh wow, we're programming 4 straight hours of stuff. Like it was kind of all new to all of us, like that we're like taking out, and it wasn't a big team at the time. I mean, like when we started, it was like 50 people total, like 40 people. Like, I mean, when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles started, that added a whole bunch of people, and there's a bunch of, it went from like 40 when I started to like 250, I think, like in the midst of the turtle stuff. And then when I left in 2011, it was like 30.
Right. So I saw, right. Because by 2011, you saw everything.
Yeah. So I was on the full roller coaster ride. I felt like,
I'm just still focused on this. Like, if you saw in a movie, like, the show has to get made, and you see this, like, intern running to the airport with the tapes in their hands, and you'd be like, oh, that's an exaggeration. Like,
no, it was, it was kind of
but, like, that's what's so crazy. Yeah, it's real.
I mean, because, it was like, I forget, it was like FedEx was like 4 o'clock, I think, to get to LA next day, at least from where we were. Then like there was extra couriers, and you could do an extra courier till like 7 or something like that. And we weren't going to make that one either, it seemed. So like, I mean, that was the only time I think we actually put someone on a plane to
That's
to
a
do
great
that.
story,
but
though.
like, it was intense. Like those the first few weeks were really intense, and then we got into a groove, and it was kind of got a little easier and stuff. But there was definitely a learning curve on those first few weeks of Foxbox.
Do you recall what the network was hung up on that you guys had to go back and change?
I honestly, I cannot remember. I cannot remember at all. Like, I don't think it was that. I mean, we had to go through a lot of S&P because it was a children's show.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and like, to get S&P at that time, I mean, we were literally, kind of finishing
Standards and practices.
Oh, sorry.
So in case anyone's,
So, just children's standards and practice. We send, we make towards the end of our production, in the beginning of production, we make a VHS tape, send it to the lawyers at Fox. And then towards the end, we have to make tapes for the lawyers, send to Fox. And we have to do that for every promo too. And like, there's, certain rules, like you can't demand things from kids. There's like a gray area. You can suggest, but not tell them to do something. I think there was like something with that. Like one of our promos were too demanding instead of requesting.
Right. Like enter now instead of if you want, enter now.
Yeah. If you don't want to be lame and get beat up, you should enter now.
Yeah. We're suggesting you enter.
Yeah,
we would never tell you what to do.
I recall some of those early promos of the promos telling kids like to tell your friends about the Foxbox.
Oh yeah.
I guess that.
I mean, because we were kind of stuck.
That's harmless.
I mean, we were kind of stuck in a weird situation where I mean, there was no advertising budget for outside the network. So like, basically our idea was we try to keep people watching and invite their friends. And we always knew which shows were popular, which shows were not so popular. Right. So we're always trying to like give more promos to the shows that we knew people were just turning off the TV and turning to something else for those shows. So like that was constant, direction by Norman. Like, hey, we got to push Funny Foodons, which was, my favorite show. Like, if someone got me a Fried Ricer shirt, I'd be the happiest person alive. Like,
oh my God! You know what I'm trying to bring back is spaghetti about it. I think that should be a phrase. Because
I was, I live on the beach in New Jersey, so I was commuting by ferry in and back and forth, and I was it's a very social commute. So I was chatting. There was a guy who was an executive chef for a few of the Hiltons, and he loved that show. Like he would we talk about it. And he's like,
I met someone who became a chef because of that show.
And he was like, I show it to my kids to show them that food's fun and da da da. And like, so we would, and he was so upset when the show kind of like, it was just if it was one season, I don't remember, but like.
I think it was, I think it had an ending, but it was like, not a very long show. And
no, not a very long show. I mean, it always made me smile. I literally would crack up making promos for that show because it was so, it was just crazy.
It was Pokémon with food.
Yes.
So, I mean, the weirdest thing to me about that was like my only lead. So I was so bummed when it ended. But I didn't understand how like standards and practices would be like, you can't say death or dead or whatever. But sure, let that kid cook over an open flame.
Yeah.
And and use the knives and standards and practices is so confusing to me for that reason.
Oh yeah, it gets very, very confusing, especially when you got to the other shows with guns and stuff. Like, guns can never be pointed at a screen. Guns can't be pointed at a person. If someone gets shot, they still have to make a noise. No one can die from a gunshot. Like, I don't know. There's all these weird rules. Like, I mean, there's no blood ever. So like,
right. One Piece, One Piece was. This is why,
luckily we had a great graphics department that was rotoscoping blood and
working extra hard.
Yeah, bust lines and weird cigarette smoking and random things out of a lot of things, but
smoking lollipops.
Yeah.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase of 16 weeks, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Yeah, so I mean, so basically I worked on mostly the promos for the longest time. And then I think you interviewed Chris Guido. When Chris Guido and Jordan started leaving, we had 2 shows. They were kind of in the midst, Viva Pinata and Chaotic. And
towards the end.
Yeah. And one of the editors who was, worked on Ninja Turtles was kind of took up the Viva Pinata, and I kind of took on Chaotic because they were having a lot of trouble finding someone to work. It was by that time, it was a very stressful time. This was after 2008, and we went from whatever $100 million company to like a $5 million company overnight. It was bad investments, and everything changed like very quickly. And everything was like, this was like the bottom of the 9th inning for these 2 shows. Like they had to be hits, and so it was very stressful for the producers and some of the editors. We tried to bring in some editors, and they couldn't take it very well. But like I enjoy. I know that was a fun for me as an editor. It was a fun show because we really built, Viva for Chaotic. At least when the second season started, and it was kind of traditional animation. Like we did weird flash animation for the first season, and it was kind of dorky. And then the second one, we started doing, real animation, and it was fun because we were, we built the animatics in Office. Like, so I would sit there with, all the stills, and we'd pull off frames and add frames, and I do that all, and then we send it to Korea. I believe we were doing it in Korea, and then he sent it back. So it was really like, a nuts to bolts sort of thing. Like it was kind of like I always was jealous of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle guys, because it seemed like, first of all, I was a huge comic book fan, and I'm 53 years 54.
So you wanted to work on Turtles.
Yeah. I really wanted to. Like when I realized they were doing the actual turtles from the comic books and not the pizza eating Cowabunga turtles, like I really wanted to do that, and I was so happy someone was doing that. But like Lloyd, they did a great. I got to do the promo, so I was happy with just being around them. But like I really liked the whole like watching all the storyboard artists and like watching it all build from like nothing, like from a sketch to a show. Like it was it was different than all of our other shows where we're getting it from Japan, or like Winx was from Italy, like
Right.
You know, like all these other shows which are kind of done, and we were just trying to either get them a little shorter or a little longer. And sometimes, like,
yeah, it was a different edit. It was a different kind of editing.
Yeah, it was a different kind of
this.
Yeah, it was more fun, and
yeah, you could feel real ownership over editing like a Viva Pinata or a Chaotic because you were there from the beginning. Whereas with, I think the editors couldn't feel ownership over some of the dubs in the same kind of way.
I mean, when you're editing Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, you're more like an air traffic controller. Like you're like grabbing graphics from one department and grabbing like the audios from another department and then fixing some edits from S&P all at the same time and trying to make it all not crash.
Yeah.
It was just, it's more, I mean, it's tough, but it's not very creative. It's more like methodical and trying to keep yourself organized when you're working on those sort of shows.
Yeah.
But they were great. The people who were working on it were great.
In your promo days, like, are there any highlights? Like, the promos from those days are really iconic to me. I mean, there's some fun ones.
I mean, I haven't been video editing for a long time, but I still have a video editing reel up. And there are two that I really like. There was we did like a Kirby sort of movie, like Kirby, like Fight to the Finish or something like that. I forget. It was like the last 5 episodes of Kirby. We kind of combined them to a movie. We did a thing for that. And that promo came out really nice. It was like a nice long, like 60-second, like, teaser for film. And then I did one for Sonic. I wanted to do a promo just on Shadow. So I did kind of like a 70s sort of like bad guy funk sort of thing. And
okay.
I was gonna say very Shaft vibes.
It was very Shaft, and like so I had we had like 3 people who kind of do backup singing sometimes, like Michelle Dunn, Kathy Borland, and Brenda. So we just did all these little things. Like, I had to it's kind of a fun promo where Shadow's just being like, I don't care, and then the girls went Shadow, and I was like, I remember just being in the booth, like watching them sing Shadow over and over again. I'm like, this is fun. I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. So I'm just making a fun little promo for Shadow that I just really just wanted to make, some sort of Shaft, sort of like bad guy who you love sort of tribute.
Or sort of it was a Funky Cops tribute is what it really was.
Funky Cops. Oh my God, I totally forgot that was a fun show.
We never get to talk about that.
That was that's when like the music department really super. I mean, the music department was always insanely awesome at 4Kids and kind of, saved a lot of what the mediocrity of some of the videos were. Like I'm permanently indebted to like the music and the sound departments because they were just really great. Like, I've never have worked with people so top notch since then.
Amazing.
They're really, Funky Cops. Oh my God.
I know. No one really has like vivid memories.
No, I mean, I remember working on it and I'm like, this is not, I don't see this lasting. Like, there are kind of shows that like I was really hoping for. Like I was kind of surprised it wasn't taking off, but like, I like the show, but I don't know. And at the 9:30 in the morning, like it really wasn't like if we were programming like Adult Swim or even pre-Adult Swim, like it would have been perfect. Like
I think they could do it now and it could be successful.
Oh yeah,
I think it's time.
Oh yeah,
if it
was on late night Saturday night, like it would have been a huge hit. Like
with like cursing and like with the whole like a real adaptation of it.
Yeah,
I know. I wish I had the rights.
No, that was fun.
Maybe that's my next.
And I didn't get to work. We did a Yu-Gi-Oh 3D movie, and it wasn't like as big as the first Yu-Gi-Oh movie, but like it was kind of a limited release. It's combining like the 3 versions of Yu-Gi-Oh, and and they fight off one guy and so I got to edit
trailers.
That. I did the trailer,
cool.
which was fun because it had to be for 3D. So like so we had to watch the movie and we had to like kind of like the movie reporter pen with the light on it. I was rewriting notes of like what looked cool in 3D so I could put it in. And then, Ryan Kelly was making like these 3D graphics, and we had like literally like, like paper 3D glasses, and we're kind of trying to fake it, trying to see what it would look like. And like we had no idea till we got to, the final, till we saw it.
Right.
And when after he was mixed, and I'm like, oh wow, this is cool. Like, and it was cool. It was, it was kind of hard trying to figure out how to get those 3 shows to get all together and make it in one movie. Because, one was 4:3 and one was 16:9. And then they made this whole 3D part.
Right.
And like, just the brainstorming of how to make this all work. Like in the one, it wasn't a long movie. I think it was like 55 minutes or 65 minutes. So it was really more like an episode,
you mean, I'm confused. Sorry. So you're saying like to get the elements from the different things to put together in the trailer?
No, in the movie. Well, because the movie was not that long, the 3D part. So we had to like make like a little backstory thing. So we had this little like backstory of like Yugi and a backstory of what's the other.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember Seto, like in all the. Yeah. I don't remember this movie.
This was like 2009, 10.
Yeah, 2009. So we had to make all these backstories
I was gone.
to kind of fill in, and then they were going to kind of make it 3D-ish, after the fact, after we sent it to them. So it was fun. I mean, it was very like. I have a very troubleshooting. Like I love troubleshooting, so it was like this huge dilemma of like. How are we going to make this happen? Like, how are we going to go from these 4:3 to 16:9 to like a 3D movie and make it not seem like stupid? Like, and I think we pulled it. I mean, I don't know how many people have seen it, but that was fun to work. And the trailer was fun. Like, that was kind of exciting to see your work in a theater.
Definitely cool.
So that was fun, and it was, I mean, the whole experience, I mean, when it ended, and it was kind of all sad and doom and gloom, by the time I left. But but during the middle time, it was so much fun. And I have so many fond memories. And, it was a tight group of people who worked really hard. And I haven't really been lucky to have that kind of environment since then. I've ended up working for a much, much bigger company, where you don't really have to pull your weight and you can still kind of float by and
don't say that out loud.
No, I can say that out loud.
Don't confess that.
But which gets kind of annoying because I mean I'm from like these kind of small companies, which I don't know how to kind of just slack around because you slacked around 4Kids, you just be gone. Like you couldn't be dead weight. Like we had no time for anyone to be dead weight. Like at 4Kids, like it was so cut and run. There were such tight deadlines. You're working on, 1 billion promos and 4 shows at the same time, and it was.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like when you went from being in the promo department and learning about how crazy those deadlines were, then to working on something like Chaotic, where I've heard that the time frames on that were just bonkers. So what was that transition like from?
It was interesting. I mean, I think by the time I got onto Chaotic, it was such a stressful situation. And I think just my normal way of being is getting calmer and calmer as the stress gets more intense.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it was fun. And I never got to really work with Michael Hegney very often. And we became really close. I became close with Michelle. That was fun, and, I got to work on a little bit of Viva Pinata. So I worked with Lloyd. I never got to really work that much with Lloyd. And he's just, insanely talented. And so, I mean, it was fun. See these people for more than just a 20-second interstitial and we just talk about for 10 minutes.
Right. Like from a technical side, like that's what I was going to ask. Like you're going from making, 15-second to 60-second spots to then having to see the big picture of a show and to edit that. Like, were you I would guess it's a leap of faith to hire somebody to do that. Like, where did you find the confidence to be like, hell I can edit a show?
Well, how I got into editing is I did a documentary in the late 90s, early 2000 about hot dog culture in America. And so we drove around the country having people tell random hot dog stories. Like
amazing.
Like, we went to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. There was a guy who fed hot dogs at a homeless shelter in Columbus, Ohio. There was a sculptor class in California, and they made a hot dog sculpture in a town, took it down because they thought it was obscene. So it was like kind of human interest stories revolving around the hot dog. So like I had some long form, experience.
You knew how to do it.
I knew how to do it. I had a long form experience, and I was really like, it became like just a personality thing too. Like, I think after Chris Guido left, and some people, if you weren't a part of the whole 4Kids environment and you're just trying to walk into it, it seemed crazy. Like, and we had a few editors we tried to hire, and they just walked right out. Like, and basically I'm like, let me just try it. Like, the promos are kind of slowing down, going down. Like, because for a while it was kind of, because we had Box and the CW for a while. Like, it was a little crazy. Like, and then
I don't know how they thought that was just a crazy feat to even think about.
And then it became just the CW, and the CW was kind of slowing down. So, like, I had some time, and I really wanted to. As soon as I knew it was kind of going to be animatics, and there would be kind of like almost a, soup to nuts sort of thing with this show, I really kind of wanted to work on it. It was, and that was, it was good. I mean, that was a fun time. I mean, it was stressful, and I could say fun now. I mean,
but you enjoyed it. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was just, and it wasn't just stress because of the show. I think it was just stress for the whole financial environment that 4Kids was in during those last few years.
It probably just hung in the air there. Like, that's how I imagine it. Again, I wasn't around in the later days, but when a company's not doing as well, especially because so many of you had been there all along.
And it's like, it felt like Severance. Like
the show Severance.
It's still in the same building. Like, I think Konami's still in the same building.
It is.
At that point, we broke down one other wall to get to another floor, and then we took a floor below us, and then we still had all that space, but we had like 30 people. So it was like, it was just kind of like,
it's like a ghost town.
It was kind of, it was just very ghost town, and a lot of people, I feel like the people responsible for our downfall didn't get laid off, but they laid off the receptionists, and they laid off like our assistants. So like,
right, that's who feels it.
Like, it was kind of, it was just kind of demeaning. Like, it was tough, and but I kind of, I still talk to Michael Hegney send texts back and forth, and
he's the best.
And I still talk to some other people, and I have very fond. Some very good friends, at 4Kids, and like, it was kind of a very, the way Norman sort of built it and was really good at keeping the money people out of our hair, and like always just talking to him.
The creative side, did its own thing.
Yeah, it was very freeing. Like, it wasn't like, Norman can be, Norman's demanding and can be intimidating, but it's not like he was, trying to.
But he understood artists. And
because he could do it too. He was not like a producer that just walks in and like, can you just make it look cool? like he knows how to do things. Like, he's, he can basically, almost do every job, and did do every job when he first started, doing Pokemon.
Right.
Like,
he was doing everything. Yeah.
So it was easy. I just found it easier to work for someone like that, like who's just so talented and does has such a huge, positive work ethic. Like, it's kind of easy to get behind. Like,
right.
And then
and that's why people worked hard.
Yeah.
Because they saw him working hard. Yeah.
Go further with the American Express Business Gold Card. Earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels when you book through AmexTravel.com. Whether your destination is a business conference or a client meeting, your purchases will help you earn more points for future trips. Experience more on your travels with Amex Business Gold. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Promo-wise, I mean, because we always get questions like, everyone wants to know about, like, the national anthem promo or the crossovers with, like, characters from different shows.
Oh, yeah.
Were any of those, like, stuff you worked on?
Yeah,
Did you have favorites among any of
I
those?
definitely worked on the 4th of July national anthem ones. I think, what show?
Okay.
I can't remember what we had. I thought we had some sort of military show at the time, too. Like,
G.I. Joe.
Well, it was
Yep,
G.I.
you had a
Joe.
Probably, yeah. F-Zero. Yeah, okay.
And then F-Zero. And then the cross. I wanted to do more of the cross ones, and I felt like there was some kind of pushback.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, like how that worked.
Like,
yeah.
It seemed like we couldn't really cross-pollinate too much.
Yeah, because you're dealing with different studios.
Different studios, and it wasn't all ours. It's not like it's not we're Hanna-Barbera here, and we kind of just like make everybody go on escapade,
compete in the Laugh Olympics.
Yes. It can't be like Gilligan's Island, be Scooby-Doo.
Because those to me were so cool, and I always wondered logistically how that worked. So, like, if you wanted to do that, who would you approach? Like, did you first have to say, Norman, I want, Scooby-Doo talking to the Ninja Turtles, and then he said, okay, go to this, or like, how did those happen?
Basically, those big pitches for for a season and for like these cross-branding things, you all had to pitch to them. Like, and Norman would be like, yay or nay. One of the things I really wanted, and like, now I'm kicking myself, I didn't push this hard. I wanted to do like a video game competition on air. I'm like, and I remember, I don't think Norman or Jeff was like, who in their right mind thinks kids will want to watch kids play video games? And now I'm like, really? Like, I could have just got that done. Like, I mean, it could have been so much fun. Like, having a little competition, just like 3 people trying to like win, by the end of the morning you see who won. And like,
if you had done that,
invented esports.
Well, I was saying Twitch would be called Gerry Beyer.
I know.
If you had done that.
I'm like, yes. Probably everybody has a story like that, but I thought it was kind of, and I came it from like a documentary sort of side, and they're like, well, that's boring. I'm like, no, I just watched a documentary about a bunch of people holding their hand on a truck.
It's a good documentary, actually.
Yeah. And they made that exciting. So I think we could make kids playing video games as a competition exciting. And they just weren't buying it.
You're ahead of your time.
They just weren't buying it. And I was like, God, I wish that would have been awesome. I should have pushed. Now in hindsight, I'm like, well, maybe they're right. Maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe people want to watch video games, but
no, you were right. You were a pioneer is what you were. And for those of you who don't know what documentary he was just referencing, there is a documentary called Hands on a Hard Body about a competition to win a truck. And if you have not seen it, stop what you're doing and watch it.
It is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's so riveting for a documentary about people just standing around having a hand on their truck.
Isn't that crazy? Because I mean, I think about too, we're talking about these promos and these shows, and and the crazy lengths you guys went to get it made, when sometimes the most simple thing is the most watchable and riveting. And like stuff we wish we had known then, because you're like, oh, I could have. Like, one of my favorite promos is it's for Sonic when it's in black and white instead of color. Is it Sonic? It's a 4Kids promo where like it's a black. I'll have to find it, but like to me, it's such a simple idea, and you're like, it's my eyes couldn't get off.
Oh,
of it.
I'm kind of remembering part of this, and I can't remember the promo. I mean, there's so many promos. Like, many promos. My mind just turns to mush. Well, like I was trying to like, I know I have some file somewhere of 1 billion promos.
Okay, this was my next question. Okay, send us everything.
Okay, sure. I will send you what I got. It's not on the drive right in front of me. I was like looking for it before I got on.
When you find it, because people are listen, it might be stuff that is not lost and is already up on YouTube, but we are required to ask every guest what they are hiding in their houses.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because we found some gems. We found lost episodes of Funky Cops.
Oh, nice.
We found some lost Ultraman Tiga episodes. So anything you find, we will be happy to sift through.
I worked on Ultraman Tiga a lot. Yeah, that was kind of one because that was kind of a simpler show, so they just figured I could do that in between promos because it wasn't.
You were actually editing the show.
Editing that show. We had to make that show longer because it was kind of short. So we made the Ultraman like transformations a lot longer than they were originally, so we could make up time. And I think there are certain things like there are a lot of drinking. Like, there's a lot of drinking. So we had to cut out.
So you had to cut out of that.
Cut out whole scenes, like, but we kind of made up some, times like the transformations on a lot of these shows, like. We would kind of add time, like by making these a little longer than we initially would want to.
So when you talk about padding it, because I want to just explain this to people at home who don't understand how this works. Like, you're talking about padding it. Are you reusing shots? Like, what are the tricks that you use to buy extra time on a show?
So when I say padding, you had to like the shows had to be, for air, it was like 21 and a half minutes for a while, then became 22 and a half minutes because the rules kept changing of how many commercials you're allowed to have during a kids programming. So to make that time, in the original, like the original version of Ultraman, when he's changing to Ultraman, it was maybe lasting for like 8 seconds. We would have in our pocket like a 20-second transformation, so we could just add an extra 12 seconds there, like, and I mean that was the only show I remember padding. Like, most of the shows we had to really just cut down, get to time, because some of them are really long. Like, especially some of the, especially when Jordan was working on the later Yu-Gi-Oh ones, they were coming in to us pretty long, like, and they were cutting out minutes out of those shows sometimes, just to get it to like, the US standard, what we can need to get it to.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff our listeners love, like knowing, like why is this shot used in this show in this episode, but not in this one. So I love that you have the answer to that about Ultraman, because that's exactly what our listeners like to hear.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm trying to remember some more things from Ultraman. That was kind of a very short. It was a fun show.
Yeah, that didn't last. Yeah. I mean, what's crazy is there were all these episodes that got dubbed and produced that never aired. So there's episodes somewhere that no one's ever seen that we can't find.
They're somewhere in the Iron Mountain, storage facility in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's where we send everything.
Someday.
Now, do you think they still exist there, or do you think they've been shredded since 4Kids does not exist anymore?
I bet they exist. I don't know. I mean, because did they ever show I don't know. Is Chaotic and Viva Pinata on streaming now, or is
Viva
it not?
Pinata is, yeah, I think it's like on Amazon.
But I wonder if they're showing because we would always we had HD versions of that show, but then we would mix and master to the SD versions, and there was always the plan sooner or later we'll go back to the HD version and actually conform it to our thing. So I don't know, it's
probably not those HD versions.
Yeah, I don't think it did. And it looks so good, especially Viva Pinata.
Oh yeah.
Looked really nice in HD, and it kind of got a little muted in the SD version. And I don't know if we ever went back, because that was towards the later time, and we were oh, okay, we can do stuff in HD, and at some point, because everyone's producing HD, but the stations wouldn't take HD, so it was kind of this weird touch and go. Okay, well, we'll have it, and when they're ready for it, we'll be ready. And
that's odd. It felt like around 2008 or so. That's when everyone was TV was pivoting towards that.
Yeah, and
so
it was.
But
it's kind of they were pivoting in weird, they were doing prime time first.
Right.
They're picking sections of the day that they were going to try to do that first. And by the time they got to Saturday morning cartoons, we were kind of the last on the list, and it was definitely after, and Fox ended before CW. I think CW took way longer HD than Fox did.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, probably if it was on Fox, it probably would have been HD maybe towards the end, but the CW, I mean, they were kind of, all those kind of smaller networks were a little farther behind, and being able to because not just the station wants to do it, but then getting the rights from all the cable companies that they get the extra bandwidth to do it, and blah blah blah. It's a lot. It was a lot of hoops to get. It was just flipping a switch, hey, we're HD.
Right.
There are a lot of little things that seem to have to happen, deals with the cable companies, and that would let you go to HD at that time when there was only a few and everyone was trying to get the HD first, and people are worried about
and obviously some of the previous dubs, of course, there's a lot. We were talking about the rotoscoping earlier. That was intended for at the time we didn't know it was standard definition, but
yeah,
I think a lot of those older shows if we tried to we can't really scale this up because it wasn't intended for that, and it's really gonna it's gonna be all blurry, and all those edits are really gonna show their age. So
yes, and I think a lot of the broadcast masters were the second generation master, and I don't know if everyone ever went back to find the original master, which was a nicer tape. These things sometimes don't happen.
Yeah. So we're going to have to break into Iron Mountain storage. Is the
that would be good. I feel like they do that all the time in the movies.
That's what this podcast has been building.
It's a heist podcast.
Yeah.
This is becoming a heist. Please, so yes, please, I will bug you to send me your files if you need any. If you find VHS tapes, we can convert them for you.
If I can get my hands on the Funny Foodons Masters, I'm in.
Oh my God! Well, see, that's a funny thing that got released on DVD. So certain shows, certain shows got acquired. Actually, Steve, you owe me my copy, I think.
Oh,
yes.
I remember arguing with I think it was Sal and someone else for the DVD department in our place, and you're already making these volumes for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokémon and some other things, and I'm where's my Funny Foodons box set? That's never gonna happen.
Oh, well, you can find it. You're going to get it? You can.
It's out of print now, actually.
It's on eBay.
Yeah.
eBay, you could find all the fighting Foodons you could desire.
Yeah. You only had to wait 20 years afterwards for it to come out. Yeah, but.
So what in the years since 4Kids? I know you haven't just been waiting for them to call you. What have you been doing?
So I left 4Kids before the end just because my wife had a business opportunity in California, I never moved away from the East Coast, so we went out to California for 6 years. And I was freelance video editing out there. And I think, as a video editor, the landscape was just kind of changing. Like, it used to be very easy to make a good living being a video editor. And once everyone could just video edit, and, the pay scale became a lot worse. And I was getting some jobs. I was doing a lot of public policy things and some little commercials. And, and I was working for some, tech companies out in California. But it got kind of tiresome. People bouncing checks and canceling jobs after you've been booking. So I ended up taking a job at MLB Advanced Media, which was going to have they were going to start a streaming service for Sony. It was called Sony View, and it was going to be live TV on your PlayStation. So I kind of worked on that, and then MLB Advanced Media became BAMTech when Disney bought 20%, and then how Disney works is, they buy a little bit and then they take it over, and now I work for Disney. And and I've been working on Disney streaming since the beginning of it. So I've been on that for 8 years. I kind of manage the video quality of Disney streaming. The video and audio quality, and people come to me if there's a gaffer standing behind the Mandalorian, or the French dub is actually German. I'm the guy who has to figure out how to fix that. So
at what point in the process are they coming to you? Like in the editing process of it, The Mandalorian, for example?
We have people who watch the shows before they go to air.
Like the continuity people, kind of.
No. Well, we have QC people who watch shows, but we're watching the shows like The Mandalorian much closer than we're watching season 3 of Gilmore Girls. There's a lot of, so we're catching a lot more things on some shows. And some shows, the whole Disney thing blew up in such a big way that we were just releasing things without even looking at it for certain territories, because we just had time. And then, but then people, and actually, I have friends who say I'm trying to teach my kids Spanish, and the Spanish dub seems out of sync for this movie. And I'll go look, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. And I'll go get it fixed.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you with
a lot of people
Reddit.
Yeah. People actually look at those Reddit, not you suck, but hey, this looks bad. There's someone at Disney who's coming through Reddit and seeing people's complaints and actually then talking to someone who ends up talking to me, and we find the vendor and we try to get it fixed.
Right. Subtitle. I had friends who literally their job was to watch subtitles with the show and make sure that everything lined up.
Yeah. And that's
exactly
right.
What we do. That was their job. Yeah.
And especially especially when you're doing it with children's shows, you want to be more exact. And then the high profile shows, the Deadpools and the Mandalorians of Disney and stuff like that. And
so you must have been familiar with the Simpsons controversy.
With the 4x3?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very familiar.
Wait, explain this to us people that don't know what you're talking about.
So when we got the Simpsons, they wanted just to blow it up. So all the shows that were 4x3, more square, they wanted to be 16:9 to fill people's screens. But how they do that is they crop stuff. So once they did that, a bunch of people started complaining because you were missing some jokes. Things were getting cut off and da-da-da. And we kind of said that right off. We kind of told them, stuff is getting missing. It's not really working. They're like, what are we going to do? Try to have 2 versions? That seems crazy. And then enough complaints happened that now, especially that's the show where we have a special button on our video PC player just for The Simpsons.
Yeah, I think it's the only show, as far as I know of.
So we can watch it in ways to make sure it looks good in both ways. Those early seasons, of course, but those are the seasons that everyone goes back to, a lot of times.
This episode is brought to you by Pluto TV. Pluto TV has all the shows and movies you love streaming for free. That means laughter is free with gut-busting comedies like The Neighborhood, Key and Peele, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mystery is free with countless cases to crack from Criminal Minds, Tracker, and Matlock. And thrills are free with heart-pumping hits like The Walking Dead and Defiance. Feel the free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Make this summer count with Harvard Summer School. With Harvard's free college programs, high school students gain confidence and insight into what college is all about, challenge themselves, and discover new friends. There are over 200 courses to choose from, including college credit courses, so it's the ideal way for students to learn something new, but most importantly, have fun. Visit info.summer.harvard.edu/Spotify to learn more.
Well, so you're a good person to ask. So if you're a watcher at home, because we know the people listening consume a lot of media, and we notice something like, oh, the sync is off, who should we because clearly Disney and these people want to hear from the consumers.
Oh, yeah.
What's the best route
there is like a comment like on the app. I don't have the app in front of me, but like there's a place to like a button to say like, have an issue. Like,
okay. So they read all that.
And they do.
See,
and
they read it and they listen.
They do. We do read it, unlike certain other companies, which I know I put in things and they never change anything. Mm-hmm. Not gonna say anything about the other ones,
names,
but
yeah.
We do actually change a lot. I mean, we try to have everything as good as we can when it goes to the air, but we have shows in Finnish and we don't have a Finnish speaker. Like we have a lot of other speakers, and we're in Disney's in 50 countries now, or 45, and 30 different languages. It's hard to keep track and make sure everything, but we try to do as good a job as we can for that. But so now I'm in a much more administrative role. I just kind of troubleshoot instead of video editing and kind of on the creative side, like the 4Kids.
That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, again, we go back to, I always say it's like the subplot of this show is living a creative life, and that sort of takes on different meaning. Like in your 20s, you're like, that means I have to be the artist and the creator. But as you get older, your jobs kind of morph, and you're like, okay, I'm still like dipping a toe into the creative, but I'm also a grown up. And like, it's fun to kind of see where people from 4Kids ended up, because it's just been a really cool journey, because again, so many people were like hardcore, I must only do theater, or I'm only an artist, and to see these happy lives and creative and interesting jobs that people have is so much fun. It's very exciting, and very excited to see other people that went out to do new things, or at least being successful at the things they did do. It's really satisfying. It's been say we work. I can know them when. Yeah, I mean, do you blow people's minds? So our last question, do you ever blow people's minds by saying oh yeah, I worked at that Pokémon Yu-Gi-Oh company?
Yes. I mean, because I'm a little bit older, so I didn't really, I never watched Pokémon Yu-Gi-Oh, but I have a lot of coworkers who are of that age who are like, what? Mm-hmm. It's the coolest thing I could ever do.
Totally.
And I'm like, it's not as exciting as you think it would be to do the dubs, but at least you got. I mean, but it makes people happy. I mean, everyone has If I met the guy who did the dubs for Danger Mouse, I probably follow him.
Right. Well, Gerry, thank you for talking to us today and taking the time.
No problem. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Oh, Gerry Beyer, thank you for your time. That was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Trip down memory lane, just some good industry talk there. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yeah. And I like knowing who's in charge of quality control in certain places.
Yeah, it's we hope, we like to think there is somebody, so.
But there is. That's the guy. Well, I mean, I guess that's not his job title, but I love hearing that customer feedback is listened to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't bring up the Simpsons thing because it's so hyper specific, but
yeah, I didn't know. That's really fascinating to me because whenever I've seen that where like I can't see the full screen, I'm like, I know there was something funny in that corner, not with that show specifically, but in general, I'm like, why this is not formatted for what I'm watching?
Right. I think it's like Seinfeld on Netflix is cropped to widescreen too. It's just, I don't know. I'm a purist. I mean, I'm an artist, damn it. I'm like, I want to see things in their intended format. Don't get me started on how Dragon Ball Z has been distributed in this country for the last 20-something years.
Interesting. Well, even just hearing like about the muted colors because they couldn't use HD on certain networks, like that's just new to me. Like I don't think in those terms. Like I forget that that's a thing, but that's something obviously an editor would know about. So I like that different kind of insight that we got today.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it, Steve. We're telling the 4Kids story.
One
interview at a time.
Every single perspective. No, I can't guarantee that, but it was nice to hear from someone else that was working on promos because, you brought up the national anthem thing. That's probably, that's up there with like one of the most.
That's iconic.
That's it's one of the first things people think of now when it comes to that company. It's just, that's part of the legacy. So
I just love the tediousness of having to find lip flap that matched.
Yeah. Like certain
I also
frames,
like, there's a, one thing, promo I really like is Bulbasaur singing Christmas carols.
Oh, I don't recall this one. Was that a kid? That must have been a Kids WB one?
I think so. I watched it recently and I was like, oh, I have to remember to post this. And I wish I could remember I don't remember specifically recording that. So I think they just took my sound bites and put it in there. But I can't remember which Christmas carol it is. I got to find it. But yeah, I would just end up that's the blessing and the curse of a character that only says one word.
Mm-hmm.
You just end up places. Like sometimes there's a song, like if you on Instagram, if you like look up, you want to put music to one of your posts, you could put in Bulbasaur and there's like some song where it's like sampling my voice and it's like, it's like this like dance beat. And it's
really,
I'm sure they're illegally using it and I'm not making a penny, but it's pretty funny. So I do use it on Instagram.
It's most people just putting their SoundCloud stuff up there. There are so many rap songs about anime. You have no idea.
Well, I found some dirty songs about Nurse Joy.
I'm not surprised. Not in the slightest.
I know, I love that. Like sometimes, like if I'm posting something about Megan or Erica, like I'll look for a Nurse Joy song. I'm like, ooh, I can't use that. That is filthy. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, Pokemon people. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening to our interview with Gerry Beyer. All the links will be in the show notes as usual, but we really appreciate if you like the show, if you could subscribe, rate, and review. If you could like leave us 5 stars and press like buttons wherever they occur in nature, and write a nice review. So it helps other people find the podcast, or just tell your friends. Like if you have a friend that like, watched these shows and you're like, hey, maybe they don't know about this.
Right.
4Kids Flashback. It's sharing is caring.
A little bit helps. For sure.
Every little bit. Well, thank you guys again, and we will
catch you next time.
4Kids Flashback is a production of Maji Media, hosted by Tara Sands and Steve Yurko.
Producers are Zach Logan, Tara Sands, and Steve Yurko.
For more information, go to 4kidsflashback.com. That is the number 4. And if you worked at 4Kids and have a story you want to share, please email us at 4kidsflashback@gmail.com.
You can find us on social media at 4kidsflashback, and to listen early and ad-free, head to patreon.com/4kidsflashback. For podcast merchandise, find links on our website and Linktree.
As they say on every podcast, if you liked this show, please subscribe, rate, and review, and tell your friends or four. If you want to check out other Maji Media podcasts, go to Maji, MAJI.media. Thanks for listening. Hey guys, Tara here. If you are enjoying the 4Kids Flashback podcast, here is another podcast you will probably like. It's called the One Piece Podcast. They have been covering One Piece since 2009, so there are about 1 million episodes for you to listen to. Highly recommend it. They do all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff, break down the shows, interview actors. You're gonna dig it. Go to onepiecepodcast.com or look them up wherever you hear podcasts. And you might even hear a familiar voice that sounds a lot like Steve Yurko. Check it out now. Thanks.
Hi, it's Ashley and Jess with Wellness Reality Check. We are two health practitioners, moms, and best friends trying to navigate the world of holistic health in a balanced, productive way that brings health to our lives instead of dogmatic extremes. We'll be breaking down health trends, interviewing your favorite health influencers, and always keeping it real. We hope this podcast brings listeners back down to earth, providing a dose of reality in the often idealized world of health and wellness.
Wellness Reality Check. Follow the show now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or at wellnessrealitycheck.com.